education is important to me, and as I look around the room, I see many community members who I've seen at schools, and I see a very special community member, Miss Betty Shelley, who, when I first came to sit in this chair as Education Advisory Board, she was here. So if you could come up here for a minute, I want to talk about community partnerships and how Betty is the example of the quintessential community person. She has been involved for decades. Well,
Yeah,
that's
yes,
true.
yes, it's true, it's true. Yes.
And one of the
Oh, my
things I
gosh.
love about Betty
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Betty. Happy birthday to you.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Beautiful.
Bonnie and Jean, where are you? Why don't we have you come to the front? We'll take some pictures with the family.
Put your elbow in. Oh, wow.
One more.
Okay, one more.
Two more. Three more. Come on, Betty. Come on, Betty. Come on,
Thank you. Thank you.
Lots of pictures being taken.
Well, you did.
I know, I know, they give me a tough job. I had to hurry up here all weekend.
Beautiful.
Oh my
Brought you a
gosh.
big card, okay? And we're all going to sign it for you, and it says, wishing you a day filled with laughter and fun. Thank you for all you have done for us.
Yes.
And we are leaving this outside, and
But what Heather was saying was true, because I have been on the Education Advisory Board and or the council for 5 years. I went to council, went to the Education Advisory Board to represent the council, and wasn't even on that board. I was on Parks and Rec there.
But you guys just squish in just a minute. I mean, get real close to Betty, you don't mind, right? That would be great. Yes, okay. Fine, here we go. Okay.
Yahoo, everybody got it?
Family members, Jean, Bonnie, could you join the photo, please?
Yeah, this is my daughter Jean. This is
The manager, Mr. Lagerfeld. Miss Lamarca.
And this is Chip.
I
looked you from behind when you wrote with me. Okay.
That's a beautiful picture. Okay. 1, 2, 3,
No.
4.
Bravissimo.
Lastly, council board members, if you could go to the front and be in the photo, this will be the last photo. Stan, Michael, Kelly, Mary, Brucey. Okay. I can't take a picture of it. I'll take a picture. You want to do one? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Over there?
Everybody, please, I'm taking pictures. So get close, get comfortable.
You gotta watch the,
Come on, Kelly. Everybody get it. Come on. You get in the video.
no, it's council. Come on.
Get out of there, Chris.
Chris, don't leave yet, though.
You can grab a little bit of lemonade.
You got it?
Doing yours now. Okay.
Okay, buddy, all right. Okay.
Now the important people there too.
Thank you all very much. Would you all please help me thank the visiting dignitaries in the room today? Starting with Betty's family, Bonnie and Jean, Representative Chip Lamarca, much beloved, and beautiful wife Eileen, and beautiful community leader. Our Commissioner, District 2, Stephen Glassman. We all love. Fort Lauderdale City Manager, Chris Rutherford. And we're going to hear from the school board chair, Heather Brinkworth, shortly, but please thank her as well. Thank you. All right, good job. All right, so we're going to start the official meeting now. The cake is going to be placed over there, cut up. Help yourself to the mic at your convenience. All right. Thank you.
And everything else.
You want to start it?
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're about to start the meeting. Now, let's get
Eliminate
underway.
strike one.
There we go. Do you have
eliminate the
your
strike.
presentation? Thank you for coming. That's why I know better. Thank you. What's happening? You're coming?
A little vodka goes a long way.
No, I've got a 14-year. Yeah. Thank you, my love. Thank you. All right.
Commissioner, good night. It's always funny.
Down to business. All right.
I could see 2020.
Don't forget about us.
No pressure.
Yeah. There is a very large card for Betty and also a framed photo with a mat, and we're asking everyone to sign both the mat with the photo as well as the oversized card if you haven't already done so before the end of tonight. Thank you very much. All right, so with that, we're going to officially start the council meeting. If I could ask everyone to stand for the pledge. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wonderful. All right, so we have a wonderful agenda tonight, lots and lots of great speakers about education. We're going to begin with the roll call.
Okay. Val Harbor Homeowners Association. Bermuda Riviera Association. Beverly Heights Neighborhood Association.
So Dennis isn't going to be here.
No. Birch Park Beach Homeowners Association. Keep going. What about Birch Park Finger Street? So, no. Central Beach Alliance? Here. Central City Alliance?
Here.
Coley Hammock Homeowners Association? Coral Ridge Country Club Estates? Coral Ridge Association? Coral Ridge Isles Homeowner Association? Crescent Park Civic Association? Downtown Fort Lauderdale Civic Association, I'm here. Edgewood Civic Association. Did I hear somebody? Edgewood? Okay. Flagler Village Civic Association. Galt Mile Community Association. Harbordale Civic Association.
Marilyn.
Here. You're here. Harbor Beach Property Owners. Harbor Association. Historic Dorsey River Bend. Home Beautiful Park Civic Association. Where do all you people belong? We need to meet up this quickly. Idlewild Improvement Association. Imperial Point Association.
Here.
Lake Ridge Civic Association. Landings Residential Association. Lauderdale Beach Homeowners Association. Lauderdale Harbors Improvement Association. Lauderdale Isles Civic Association. Lauderdale Manors Homeowner Association. Melrose Manors Homeowners Association.
Here.
Middle River Terrace Neighborhood.
Here.
Nurmi Isle Owner Association. Poinsetta Heights Civic Association. Here. Poinciana Park Civic Association. Progresso Village. Here. Rio Vista Civic Association. River Garden Sweeting Estate. Riverland Preservation Society. Here. River Oaks Civic Association.
Here.
Riverside Park Residents Association.
Here.
Rock Island Community.
Here.
Sailboat Bend Civic Association. Seven Isles Civic Association. Shady Bank Civic Association. Sunrise Intercoastal Homeowners Association.
He's not here.
Not here? South Middle River Civic Association.
Here for all the S's.
Tarpon River Civic Association.
Here.
And last, Victoria Park Civic Association.
Here.
Here?
Here.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have four? Okay, great. All right, so just a few brief announcements. First, thank you again and happy birthday, Betty. We're so excited for you. We're so excited to know you. You're an inspiration. We have an annual holiday potluck dinner. It's quite popular. The food goes fast. You need to be here early. The date for our general meeting in December is December 10th. The potluck dinner starts an hour earlier, so it's going to begin at 5:30. I'd recommend a 5:30 p.m. arrival or thereabouts. That's all the announcements I have for tonight. Can I hear a motion to accept and approve the minutes of September 10th general meeting?
Madam President, I'd like to make the motion to accept and approve the minutes.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you. Any opposed? I should ask, right? Okay, wonderful. Brucey, treasurer's report?
Yes, we just had two more neighborhoods send their money in, and one of them is the Birch Park Finger Streets Association. Who are you? And there was no form attached to it. A wonderful check, which I dutifully deposited, but I have no idea who you are and what your information is. Is anybody here representing them?
Nobody responded with an
Stan, can you take a note of the Birch State Park Finger Lakes just to investigate who the rep and the alternate
I have
are?
already sent it to you.
Okay, great.
Does
All right.
anybody in the room know Sharon Taberno?
That's Sharon, yeah.
Yeah, does anybody know Sharon? No? Okay.
Okay.
All right, so at this particular point, we have $6,663.39 for our checking account and the $5,000 in the CD, which is making 2.5% or something like that.
Wonderful.
If I'm lucky.
We can throw a birthday party.
Yeah.
Thank you, Brucey. All right, can we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report?
I motion to accept the treasurer's report.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, wonderful. The police fire report, we have the illustrious Lieutenant Martin who's going to come up and give us the wonderful stats for the prior month. Lieutenant Martin, please join us. Thank you.
Gee, it's my birthday, yeah, okay. I'm filling in for Lieutenant Figueres. He's actually going to be coming to meet you guys from month to month. So looking at the citywide stats, because you guys represent everybody in the city. So as of this month, we've got a total of part 1 crimes that are actually down. So burglary of a business is down 14%. Vehicle burglaries are down 7%. Burglary residences are down 6%. Larcenies, which are any kind of theft, that actually went up 2%. And vehicle thefts went up 2%. As far as violent crimes are concerned, citywide as a whole, for the year, actually, we're down 25% for homicides and 8% for aggravated assaults. Crimes like sex offenses and robberies, which are very difficult for a police department to predict, as opposed to any kind of burglaries that we can do some sort of crime prevention or surveillance. Those actually went up. So from last month, actually from last year at this time, we had 45, and this year we had 71 citywide for the year. So we're actually up 1% from previous year. So as far as arrests are concerned, we're actually up 29%, which we can arrest them, but we can't hold them. That's a legislator's job. And total clearances, we're actually up 2%. And the clearance is anytime we can close out a crime for a suspect and actually pin them for the crime and clear it out. Or if it's an exceptional clearance, say the person's dead or they're already in prison forever anyway. So our total clearances are up 2% on that. So overall, the officers are actually making more arrests and we're clearing more cases. So the numbers actually look good. If you need a breakdown as far as police districts, because you know the city's broken down into police districts 1, 2, and 3, which are different than the commissioner districts. But District 1, which is the northeast section of the city, burglaries to a business were down 29%, and larcenies were up 7%. And arrests were up 20%. So that's pretty much consistent with the other sections of the city. District 2, which is my area, which is the northwest section, and the executive airport, homicides are down 30%. I guess that's a good number, but when you look at it, these percentages, they sound large, but you're talking about, we had 7 homicides. So when you look at 30%, whether it's an increase or decrease, you may be talking about one particular one. Let's see, violent crime as a total, we were up 8% for the year. So we went from 255 to 307. So it kind of gives you a perspective so far for the year. Overall, property crime is down 11%, so that involves all the vehicle burglaries, the home burglaries, and total arrests are up 28%. So that kind of gives you an idea. And then lastly, District 3, which is the southwest section of the city, you have 2% increase for violent crime, but aggravated assaults were down 13%. Burglaries were down 15%, and total property crime was down 3%. And all arrests were up 1%. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we stand in the city.
Wonderful. Any questions?
Any questions? Yes, sir.
There was an incident last night on my block.
Oh, I was fearful you were going to give me a specific incident.
Well, I have my,
Crack pipe.
right,
Yeah.
so that little 3-year-old girl found it.
Okay.
And it's behind a sober home that we're having issues with.
Imagine that.
The last 2 times it was, one of the guys was high with a knife on the street and he told the mother across the street to lock herself in and he called the police. Before that, it was a fight between 2 of the residents.
Which sober home is this?
Southwest 16th Court in Croissant Park. It's illegal sober, so.
Southwest 16 Court and where?
Fort Lauderdale.
No,
What
I know that, but what avenue? Is this
Oh,
like the 400
Cross
block?
Street, Southwest 4th Avenue.
Okay, because I own a couple of properties that are near there, on the other side of 4th Avenue, but I'm familiar with that particular
What's the name of
one.
the solo home, please? You know?
It's Boca Island LLC is the owner, and what they did was, it's someone in New York City, and they bought 7 townhouses, duplexes, which
Are they FAR certified?
only one.
It's negative, yeah.
So the city knows that one of them's being fined, but that doesn't mean anything, it's not stopping anything. But what bothers me, besides the fact that the couple across the street from a little boy, are probably gonna move, and they've been there for a long time, but they can't take it, and they're worried about their kids.
So I know in that particular area of the city, and I've been approached too, what these companies do is they come in and they offer landlords, I'll pay you cash and I'll pay you more than your average rent.
No, these people bought, they got 5 or 6 million invested, they bought all these properties, one's in Carpenter River, and I think 6 are in Grayson Park.
Right,
So they're duplexes, which, they're townhouses, so they
Right.
built all the townhouses.
yeah, the yellow ones and the blue ones both.
So the blue one is licensed on 4th Avenue, it's the only one.
Yeah.
And that's for the women, and it's pretty quiet.
So those are the ones you know about. The ones you don't know about are the ones that go to landlords and they offer them cash. And a lot of the landlords are enticed by that, so they are attempting to take that. But the problem is that problem then kind of moves around and the city has trouble regulating.
Well, supposedly we were going to do something, and it doesn't seem to happen, but my concern is last night the officer told the woman who called in who stayed with her daughter, that he was going to look the other way. And I asked, I said, is that exactly what he said?
Yeah.
And he said, yes, because he said, there's nothing can do about it, or so we're just going to look the other way, and he left.
So I'm gonna suggest that we do an offline investigation, if you would agree to look into this incident.
Yeah,
It
I'll
was
pass it on to
reported
the
to the
District 3
police.
Command Staff, sure.
And sober homes and social services in general is a larger issue.
Yes.
We tackle those on a regular, almost daily basis. We'd like to talk to you offline, just make sure we've got your neighborhood covered in our areas of concern, because I would like to know more. If I could defer further conversation until the next time out. Thank you. We're going to have to close down this report. We're going to move on. Thank you, sir. Can we thank just want to keep us on task because there's a lot to cover and I don't want to keep everybody too late. So we're going to begin our introduction of guest presenters with the wonderful who pretended to present before the official meeting start. She is actually going to officially present now on the direction of the public education system in Broward County. And I'm just going to read a little bit of her bio, not too much because it's too amazing, but it is really important that we know a few things about Heather. Heather was born and raised in Broward County, has lived in District 3 since 1982. She was appointed by Governor Scott and subsequently elected in August of 2014. She was re-elected in 2016 unopposed to the School Board of Broward County, representing the student, staff, and school communities of District 3. She's a third-generation Broward County resident. She's a proud product of Broward County schools, all the way up through Hollywood Hills High and Stranahan, graduating from FAU with a bachelor's degree in English. No wonder you're so articulate. I'm just going to read at the end. She's involved in a number of things in the community, but she represents the school board on the following committees. She also chaired the Education Advisory Board for a bit, but she sits on the board of the Broward County Housing Council, the Broward County Cultural Council, the United Way of Broward County Commission on Substance Abuse, Board of Governors, the Friends of Birch State Park Board of Directors, and she's also on the board of the Museum and Discovery and Science. With that, would you please help me welcome Ms. Brinker?
Good evening again. I told Elena, you're going to make me stand up there while you say I have somewhere really important to be. That makes me sound like an awful person. But I was happy to be part of the ruse to celebrate Betty's birthday. And I meant what I said about your commitment to education and the impact that it had on me as part of the Education Advisory Board and what it means. So I'll talk about that a little bit later. But the first thing, I'm going to set these things down if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited that Broward County Public Schools has an incredible new partnership and working relationship with the City of Fort Lauderdale. And the City of Fort Lauderdale is very focused on education in the city. And to me, that is really exciting because I know Betty can attest to this, sitting on the Education Advisory Board, sometimes we took 3 months to write a letter to the commission, and there wasn't a lot of conversation about education in the city. So it's really, really exciting, and I'm very excited that Zoe Saunders is part of what is moving this discussion forward, and I know you're going to hear from her in a little bit. I wanted to let you know that we have some incredible expansion of programs here in the city of Fort Lauderdale. The Cambridge program has been expanded in the Fort Lauderdale I-Zone to include Bennett Elementary, Bayview Elementary, Sunrise Middle, and Fort Lauderdale High School. So students that go to Fort Lauderdale High School, if you're in that boundary, will have an opportunity to get some of that feeling of the Cambridge program, the language of the Cambridge program, the opportunity to have some experiences before they get to high school to help them be more successful. So that's really exciting. And at Stranahan High School this year, between a partnership between New River Middle and Stranahan High School, they've started this thing called 0 Hour, which happens before the school day starts for the elementary school students, but during the very beginning of the high school day. And it's an opportunity for students from New River Middle to go to Stranahan High School and learn about marine mechanics. And so one of the things we're focused on very heavily with the city is not only providing partnerships in schools between communities, but also providing partnerships between businesses and finding those gaps in the workforce that need to be addressed. And so that marine mechanics program at Stranahan High School is part of that. And then another conversation that we're having with the city right now is around aviation and the need for aviation workforce. And that actually stemmed from a homeowners association meeting that I was attending in Imperial Point, where Rufus James made a comment to me, and then there's been subsequent comments, and I'm happy to say that Zoe and Commissioner Moritas and I have had lots of meetings. They've had many meetings with school district staff about how to make this happen. And in January of 2020, Atlantic Technical Center will be starting a program that will be in partnership with the Fort Lauderdale Executive Airport to bring avionics to students. And so we are going to get, we're going to get people jobs and provide the aviation industry the workforce that they've been asking for. So we're really excited about that. One of the things that I wanted to mention while I'm here, and I have this audience of community members, is how important the community is to successful public schools. And so whether your children are educated in public schools or not, whether you have children or you're just here 6 months out of the year, whatever the reason is, it is important as a community that we have good public schools. It makes a difference because it provides a workforce that is productive for our community, and it helps our home values. And so one of the things that I want you to know is I'm invested in making sure that the community has opportunities. And one of those opportunities is coming up on, it was in the folder and I don't know what, there it is, okay, on November 2nd. So I'm very proud to say that the Ed Talk that Broward County Public Schools holds every year is going to be held in District 3 at Fort Lauderdale High School this year. So it's going to be in the city of Fort Lauderdale. Last year it was way out in Pembroke Pines, and so it's not easy for those of us who live in Fort Lauderdale to make it way out to Pembroke Pines. So I'm really happy that it's in Fort Lauderdale, and I'm hopeful that you or people in your community that you can spread the word to will come and attend again. Whether you have students in our public schools, whether you have children or not, if you're part of this community, you should be part of the conversation, because our public schools matter to this community. So I'm going to leave these with Colleen. You're welcome to share them on social media and make sure that you send an invitation out to everyone, share them at your meetings, and then there is an RSVP because they are going to be planning for the number of people that are going to attend. So I think Colleen provided colors in black, copies in black and white. But I was able to bring some color copies, so make sure that you pick up those.
So we'll have extra copies for you to take back to your community. This is a free event. It's kind of like a TED Talk, but it's an Ed Talk. I've already registered. I'm very excited. So we'll leave these in the back of the room for folks to take with you.
Okay, and then I also, in this other folder, have included the small size calendars that are for Broward County Public Schools, so in your community you can know maybe which days are early release days or days off. Because I know that traffic patterns sometimes change based on what's happening with the school. I'm very well aware of that. And so I just want you to have an understanding if you would like a copy of the calendar. It's available online, but if it's something that you'd like to have to carry with you or to put on your refrigerator, that's available for you as well. Or if you in your homeowners association would like to just match it to your calendar for your association. I do see some faces that I have seen at meetings. I know Estelle is always at the meetings that we hold at Stranahan High School with regard to facilities, and Betty is always at the meetings that we hold at Northeast High School with regard to facilities. We do have a date for the Stranahan facilities meeting, but thank you, I didn't have it committed in my mind. I was going to have to look at the phone. We don't have a date yet for the next community meeting for Northeast High School, but I have requested the next meeting to occur. I will tell you that the progress at Stranahan High School is slow. I have been there. I have voiced my concerns. I have voiced my concerns. And, it is my understanding that they are bringing a new project manager on for that school, not a new contractor, but a new project manager to help that project move along more quickly. And also the cafeteria addition that we advocated for and were able to get the board to agree to is in design, but they keep coming back with a price that's over the budget, so they're sending it back for further design so that they can get it within the budget. So that's Stranahan High School. Yes, Estelle.
Sorry.
Yes.
I won't go get into it because you know how it works.
I do know that.
And they did promise to have an updated construction timeline that they failed to deliver to us up until now, and it's been years.
And for those that don't know, they were shut down for like 29 violations for construction this summer, code violations. And I mean, I could go on and on, but Ms. Brinkman has been a great vocal support at our school. And thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I want you to know that although I can't get involved in day-to-day of schools, that's not within my purview, I can ask the questions. And so when the community brings questions to me, I ask, and I ask, and I ask, and I ask. And at the last community meeting, I don't think you were there at the last
I
meeting.
had a work trip, but 2 of our board members, Jean and Matt, were representing us.
Okay. And so at that meeting, it was very clear that some of the things that had been asked for by the community and by me had not been delivered. And so I made it very clear to them that I don't appreciate looking like that in front of the community, and that they needed to make sure that they followed through on what they promised. And so I'm hopeful at the next meeting that we will have what they committed to us for the Stranahan timeline. And then for Northeast High School, you probably heard in late June that the contractor for Northeast High School was terminated. At the time, we had a meeting, I think the night before the meeting, that we were going to terminate that contract, and I said to staff, I'm not going to this meeting and pretending like everything's okay when I know tomorrow we're going to be terminating a contract. So we had a little bit of conversation with the community and said, we're going to be terminating the contract for the contractor on this project. It's going to be in the best interest in the long run, and so I can tell you now that the board has awarded the contract to the same contractor who was given the addition project. So Pirtle Construction has the addition project and the renovation project at this time, and I think that's going to help things move along better. And I will tell you that originally it was the same contractor that was assigned to Stranahan. I had concerns about that because of what Estelle can fill you in on. So I just want you to know that if you have questions, concerns, comments, suggestions, my door is always open. You can reach me, heather.brinkworth at browardschools.com. You can call my cell phone at 954-260-2217. If you have any questions, I'm willing to answer them. Yes?
Did something change with the Seagull School?
The principal changed.
And I thought I read about who can now go back to regular classes as opposed to they were required to go there.
No?
I thought I had read something that changed.
No?
All right.
Nothing has changed. It's an opportunity for students who are parents, whether they be female or male, to attend and have childcare at the school while they're there. And it's also an opportunity for credit recovery for students who aren't successful in their traditional school. And many of them do transition back to their traditional schools.
Yeah, it's down, I know, it's down the street.
Any additional questions that I can answer? Yes.
Could you repeat that number again?
Yes, 954-260-2217. That's my cell phone number. Now I can give you my office number as well. 754-321-2003.
I can attest to Ms. Brinkworth's responsiveness. I've reached out to her several times, and as Chip LaMarca says, she's our best board member. Please help me thank Ms. Brinkworth for coming. That was amazing. Betty, you're up next. I don't even have your bio. So Betty's going to talk about her role on the Education Advisory Board briefly, and we all know and love Betty. I don't know, she's won Distinguished Citizen of the Year. She serves on the Education Advisory Board. She's the president of Imperial Point Civic Association. Her daughter, former superintendent of schools up in Virginia somewhere. So, you know, education is her middle name, community engagement is her first name. Please help me welcome and honor Betty one more time.
Some of you know I've been with the council for a lot of years too, probably 20 years. But then at one time the council was very much concerned about what was happening with education, and they had asked me actually to go be a representative of council on Education Advisory. I did that for about 5 years, and at that time I was on Parks and Rec Board. So, but I went and I've always tried to bring something back from the Education Advisory Board. We had some problems because in a lot of ways the city it was Broward County. So the city did not really get involved. We'd had some people that helped really get involved. I'm so overwhelmed that Zoe is here, because that's something we had asked for so many years, to have a relationship with, to go to school board meetings even, to know what was really happening. So that is, you know, to me, makes all the difference in the world. We have people, some new people on the Education Advisory Board who have been in the profession, which really helps. I go back a long way. My husband was a superintendent too, and we worked in schools all my life. One time I even coached girls basketball. When my husband was the principal, and this was a long time ago, but where he taught subjects as principal, and they wanted to have girls basketball, so I did it without pay, of course. But anyway, there's so many things, but school is so important to me, and the children are so important. So, and everything that we've had, Marilyn knows that when we were having the problem with the school board for the scoop with the bond.
That's right.
And the people in the council were so concerned at that time and didn't understand, and so I was able to, at Northeast one day when I was with the facilities meeting, I saw Superintendent Runcie, and he's really tall, you know. And he was standing on the stage, and I was standing down here, and I was like, but I said, you know, I think the Council of Civic Association is a place that you should come and talk. And he said to his assistant, find out her information, and he came and gave us really quite a nice talk, I think, and they did pass the bond issue, of course. And we have had him back again since then. But this is, the council needs to be involved in education, and that makes me feel very happy that we are doing this. But thank you for everything, and we are.
Any questions for Betty? I forgot to mention, she is a long-standing board member with the Council of Fort Lauderdale Civic Associations. And if you haven't figured it out, tonight's theme is education. So our next presenter is the Chief Education Officer for the City of Fort Lauderdale. Zoe Saunders has been with the city for 7 months. And in that short time, she's done some amazing things. She comes to the city formerly with charter schools, doing a lot of work and strategy for them for several years. She was a teaching and research fellow at Vanderbilt. She's had a number of wonderful roles prior to coming to our fair city. She's an undergraduate from Harvard, a master's in education from Vanderbilt. She's here tonight to talk to you about the education direction for the city of Fort Lauderdale and this wonderful aviation program that Heather alluded to. Please help me welcome Zoe.
Thank you for having me. It's quite humbling to sit in the back of the room and have my name referenced 3 times before I even come up here. So thank you. It's really an honor to serve in this role. The city's first Chief Education Officer. I was born and raised in Fort Lauderdale, so this is very personally meaningful to me. And I have 2 young boys, one who's at kindergarten at Harvardale this year. And so I'm really excited to be in this role, and it's been wonderful to partner with a number of stakeholders throughout the community and Broward County Public Schools and our business partners. I can tell you in the time I've been here, I can sense the tremendous enthusiasm for education and the openness for people to come together to collaborate for what's in the best interest of our students and also our adult learners as well. So what I thought I would do today is just give you a brief overview of how we're, as a city, approaching and launching the education office, and then I'll talk a little bit more specifically about the exciting new aviation program. I'll go quickly so you can see this for that part. So overall, really the education office launched in April of 2019 with me coming on board in this position. The challenge that we face in the city of Fort Lauderdale is similar to other challenges across the country. And I think what's really unique about our approach is that we realize it's important for a city to be involved in public education, and that there are many out-of-school factors that contribute to the success of a student. And so we really are looking to approach this work as a partnership to really create an educational ecosystem for our community. And the aspiration being known for educational excellence in the city of Fort Lauderdale, being known for world-class schools, being known by employers as a talented workforce so that we attract more and more businesses to our community. And in terms of desired outcomes, we want to make sure that there are equitable learning opportunities across our city, that we're really leveraging the collective impact of all of our partners and creating an overall community wellness. We know how important that is to academic achievement. So just to give you a sense of the history, the city of Fort Lauderdale developed a vision plan, and in that vision plan, education is a really key component. And in fact, the vision plan, as many of you probably are familiar, outlines the aspiration to be known for educational excellence on an international scale. So it's a very aspirational statement. And our current mayor and commission have placed a renewed focus on education. It's been a commission priority to create this role and to bring on a dedicated staff person to help to connect all of the work that's going on around the city and also explore new programming to meet the needs where we can. We have an education advisory board of which Betty Shelley is a part, and thank you so much for your service on that board. It's a very visionary board. It's a very passionate group of individuals who are strongly committed to the success of our public education system and have been involved over the last year in interviewing principals and doing a very data-driven gap analysis to identify some key recommendations for the city to take on, which we'll be talking a little bit more about today. And then, of course, the Education Office launched in April. So we're about 6 months into to this focused work in this new area, but building on a lot of the success and a lot of the commitment to education from other departments. So I do want to share with you, on your tables you have this booklet. This gives you a sense of the existing educational resources and support that the city currently provides. And I think you'll find when you have time to review that it's quite impressive. We have a number of different departments have been engaged directly with schools and communities for several years. And this was created as an opportunity to bring principals together before the school year started and really have focused planning sessions. So it gave us the opportunity where different department heads hosted table conversations with our principals and collected really valuable input that's shaping the way in which we're developing our education office and setting the priorities moving forward. So we're really looking for this to be a very participatory process. So in the last 6 months, as I've mentioned, participatory process is a key part of the overall approach, really starting with a listen and learn. And this is one of those forums to do that. I really hope today I get an opportunity to hear from you and learn from you around how I can better connect with resources in your community to gain your feedback and input from neighbors in your neighborhood to inform our direction. As we kind of set over that direction and the vision, our key objectives, a lot of the work that we're doing is synthesizing a number of different inputs that we're collecting from stakeholders, from data, looking at research, really to understand the unique role that a city can play to positively influence education. And in doing that, a key part is the shared purpose. In the last 6 months, we've been very intentional in any project that we've undertaken to really build upon the strengths of the partners around the table and build upon the strengths of our individual neighborhoods as well, because together, collectively, we can have a much greater impact when we establish that shared purpose and vision for success. And of course, beginning to implement, monitor, and continuing to improve the work that we do through the Education Office. And I'm happy to report that we're going to be able to implement a key project in January, as Heather Brinkworth mentioned, with aviation. So just to kind of think about how we're looking at the key projects and the way we're looking at the approach is first leveraging the city assets. The booklet that you have in your hands is a first opportunity for us to really begin to identify those unique assets that we can bring to bear as a city to positively influence education. So examples of those unique assets, we own and operate the executive airport. We have a number of parks and programming that's offered after school. We have our public safety officials who not only keep us safe in our communities, but are doing a lot already through their community building work with schools. So that just gives you a sense of the work that we're doing there. And also looking to convene relevant and aligned organizations together to do this work and partner where it makes sense to add value and introduce potentially new programming or enhanced programming in our community. But the intent really is that creating the connectivity and developing that educational ecosystem within our city and for our residents, and having the local involvement. So advocacy is a key part. That's a lot of what the Education Advisory Board has done for many, many years. And really because you're connected to your community and your schools, you can really advocate for what's in the best interest of students in your community. So just to give you a sense of some of the key areas of focus, a main one is school engagement. So we're looking to engage meaningfully with schools, plan together with schools to identify how the city can support their efforts. And I can say that's been a very collaborative effort across departments of the city. Another key area is looking at developing industry-aligned training programs. The Fort Lauderdale Aviation Academy is one example of that, but as Heather Brinkworth mentioned, we're really looking to understand where are those skills gaps and how can the city become involved in connecting businesses to the educational institutions so we can create that training and develop a talent pipeline in high demand growth industries in our community. Economic development, there's also been a key focus in distressed communities. That's been a major initiative for Broward County as a whole, and so the city is becoming involved in that as well. We're also looking to be very innovative about the use of public funds. So there's a number of different initiatives where we're trying to optimize city and county resources. In fact, we're exploring launching a working group around shared use parks with the school district to really maximize the benefits of those recreational spaces throughout our city. And early learning and after school. So those are key areas that children develop outside of the typical school day. And limited access to early learning creates a very systemic barrier to success for students. We're seeing in a lot of the data that many students are coming into kindergarten not ready for kindergarten instruction. So we know early learning is very important. As many of you know, George Hershka has led up a lot of early learning initiatives, so thank you, George.
Yay, George!
Another visionary and very committed to this work, and so George and I have been collaborating, and he has done so much in the community already and has so many plans for other ways that we can extend this work. And you continue to see the little libraries popping up, which have received national recognition, a number of reading programs from our police department, fire department's looking to explore that as well. So early learning is a very big focus. And then within our parks department, you can see within that booklet the number of students served and the investment in after school, and we're looking to continue to expand that. And then lastly, college and career access. In this area, looking to partner with community organizations that are supporting this work, such as Bridge to Life, and working with Colleen Lockwood on that. So you'll hear more about that initiative. But these are the key areas where we are working right now with the Education Office to make a meaningful impact in our community. I do want to give you my contact information as well, because I really hope we can continue to have the discussion and dialogue, because it really will take all of us coming together to make an impact. I do have also in front of you, you have a one-sheeter, which gives you an overview of the Fort Lauderdale Aviation Academy. So this is very exciting. You can see here outlined some stats to show you the demand for this program. And I can share with you with every business that I've talked with in aviation, they just said thank you for coming together to offer this program, because there is such an intense demand. We've been working very closely with business partners at the executive airport who say they can't grow their business because they don't have the workforce to do that. So nationally, this is an issue in terms of a pilot shortage and shortage of mechanics. Also, the Greater Fort Lauderdale Alliance commissioned a study very recently that identified a skills gap in aviation in our local community, and we're expecting to see tremendous growth in Broward County. So conservative estimates are 23% projected increase in jobs in Broward County, which is about 4,000 additional jobs in aviation. And that's a very considerable growth compared to Miami-Dade and Palm Beach County. So it really just helps to emphasize the need for us in Broward County to be focusing on this work. And while the city of Fort Lauderdale, we're looking to leverage the executive airport, it's not just for the benefit of our residents. We really see this as an opportunity to have a larger regional impact. And we've developed a steering committee of partners and business providers, which you can see all of the logos here. And I can tell you it's been such a thrilling and rewarding experience to be part of this group, because everyone's coming to the table to really collaborate. And as part of that effort, I've been able to develop a vision for this aviation academy, which offers multiple pathways from middle school to high school all the way into career, and identifying all along those pathways where our partners can plug in and share their expertise. And so our long-term vision is that we'd be able to have a facility at the executive airport. As you can imagine, that will take some time to come into fruition, but we are going to begin planning even more intensively on that in the next couple weeks, correct? But what we are able to do immediately, which is really exciting, is to offer an avionics program in January 2020 through Atlantic Technical College. And they have been a tremendous partner. Many of you are probably very familiar with Atlantic Technical College and their accolades. They recently received the Blue Ribbon Award, which is a national recognition. So it's just a great partner, and they're doing wonderful things for students. I just came from a advisory board meeting with our business partners. So it was the first meeting this evening, and everyone's on board and excited and willing to be engaged to support this effort and help students find jobs and find their passion, because there's a number of different careers in aviation. So I'll leave you with that. I hope I was in time. Does anyone have questions for me?
Do you have a designated webpage on the city's?
No. It's part of my vision. So what would you like to see on that webpage?
Well, what I would like to see is your contact information, an electronic copy of this, the Aviation Program Academy information, and then maybe just some information on what your vision for contributors like all of us would be.
Great. Excellent. Thanks for the feedback.
I'm really involved with the marine industry.
Oh, good.
And I don't see a whole lot happening to help us at this particular moment, because a lot of the marine industry are mom and pops. They're getting older and they need a lot of younger people to come in and fill. And it's not there. We're not getting the support. I've called the state even to try to get them to do different educational programs. And they say, well, there's not enough jobs in this particular area in order to make it worthwhile. Yet this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we're letting it go down the tubes.
Marine's definitely another area of focus, and actually, Ms. Frankfurt, if you want to share, I know that there's a new initiative from the district focusing on marine industry as well, correct?
Yes, and we again have studied the gap analysis. We've heard from the marine industry loudly and clearly that it is a desperate need, and so I know that the partnership between New River and Stranahan directly addresses that, and then our technical colleges are also looking to add certification programs. So if there's a specific need that you are aware of, then it's definitely something that we need to make sure that Zoe and the people at the school district who decide which programs are going to be put into schools can make sure that we're addressing those needs. So if there's something in particular,
Definitely.
Yeah. That would be great. So I'll make sure that you have my card, and we can talk about that, because I know that that's a big area.
Wonderful. Barbara?
Yeah, Zoe, where does your role fit within the city structure?
I'm in the city manager's office.
And you're a one-man band at this point?
Yes.
I take it, okay.
So be patient with me. Yes.
Did you go to public school here?
I did not.
What do you see as the thing that would make the biggest improvement in our public schools in Florida?
I think what I've seen and what has been very successful in my experience is that level of community involvement. I really believe that this model can have a very big impact, and I've seen it work in other communities. I really believe it's that larger educational ecosystem and identifying those key partnership opportunities so that we're focusing on both in-school and out-of-school factors. So I think broadly speaking, a lot of what we're trying to do with this model could be something replicated beyond the city of Fort Lauderdale that can have a very strong impact on public education and community involvement.
It's a really good question. It's probably a question we should tackle at some point, official posture position. But I mean, I hear from Zoe loud and clear, part of this is collaboration, right? We can't do it alone. We're all trying it our own way. I think working collectively, and that's what you hear here. The school board, business partners, technical schools, and the city. I mean, it's a very powerful demonstration of how to push something forward in an innovative way, a productive way, and successful way. But good question. We will include that in our notes. All right. So
And I will have deeper thought and come back to statements, because that's kind of like a dissertation, I think, that maybe in the future.
one more question?
Hi, it's kind of like a combination of questions, but the first one is, I'm sorry, I didn't hear when you started. in
April.
school.
April.
April. Have you had a chance to tour all of the Fort Lauderdale schools?
I'm making my way. I've had a chance to work with all the principals, but I haven't toured every single facility. But I'm making my way.
Now, in your role, are you able to say attend the Stranahan High School facilities meeting on November 13th?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess I'll get with your office and we'll get that on your calendars.
Yes.
That I can see that.
Yes.
Okay.
November 13th. I'll try to go to as many events as possible.
Of my trio, and it's okay if you are not comfortable answering it, but I know you said you grew up here. He already asked part of the question of like, did you go to high school here? I know you said your children go to Harbordale, which I know is one of the most coveted schools, elementary schools in the city with that program, and you can go anywhere. Nobody wants to go to the other ones, and I know they end up there, and then eventually they're in private schools. So I guess my question just is, in current state of Fort Lauderdale School, if you grew up here, would your children be going to high school here in the city, in current state?
Well, I think there are a lot of opportunities and good programs available. Part of my role is really helping to understand, what is the unique value proposition that each school brings to the community. I've had experience with a lot of different schools across the country with my last role, and I think it's really important to connect the program to the community needs and continue to have those conversations so that programs can evolve. I think you have to look at what school is right for each kid, which is why it's really good to see the different types of choice programming that's offered. You heard about some of the expansion with Cambridge program and others. So I think that's part of what we need to look at when we have these discussions, is what's the right fit for the child and the right learning opportunity, and we can continue to have these types of partnerships and offer more throughout the city.
And I'm going to ask you not to answer the question specifically. Here's the thing. There's an investment in resource for distressed zip codes. Pathways to Prosperity is our focus. An equity lens is our focus. That's where our resources are going. The public education system here is being challenged, is being strangled by a lot of state mandate and a lot of our funding coming from up there. It is what we're doing with our resource that matters, okay? One last question, then we're going to move on. Did you want to?
Well, I didn't really have a question. I just really want to point out, having 4 kids, I got the last one in college now, we got to go through the education system here. This aviation academy, it's a dual enrollment. So if you have kids, or if you know of kids, or even in middle school or in high school, when they go to their high school, part of the day they go to this academy, they're going to go to that Atlantic Technical School, and they get credit for it. Yeah. So if anybody, I just want to make sure people understand it's a dual enrollment situation, which is, that's huge in my book. So for anybody that has kids that want to go to college
with a certificate, they have 0 college debt, and they're going straight into their career.
So it's a big deal. And you did it so quick. I don't know how you did that.
Yeah, all the right partners are around the table, and we knew there was a need. I mean, that's really what it came down to. But I think that's a really good point, too, because this program is open to multiple schools. There's a lot of programs like this throughout the district where students can stay at their home school and go part of the day and do technical training and still participate in after-school programming, things like that at their host school. So I think that's just something we all should be aware of as we think think about and define our public school options in the city.
So we're going to have to shut it down. Thank you very much. We can always have Zoe come back at another point. We're going to move on to our next presenter. Keep us on task here. So Major Salters from FLPD is also Dr. Salters. He is a major. He's been at FLPD for 25 years. He earned a bachelor's from FAMU, the Florida Agricultural Mechanical University, master's degree in public administration from FAU, and a doctorate from FIU. His dissertation explored the impact of racial profiling on black males seeking jobs in law enforcement and committing to law enforcement careers. He has a number of accolades. He's very active in the community. I know we have some common connections with a number of wonderful community partners. I'm just going to read the last paragraph. His life philosophy is, if I can help somebody as I pass along the way, my living will not be in vain. The Martin Luther King quote. And his, yeah, I guess we should stop there. Yeah. His life motto is, success is options. So I don't know if Sergeant McDowell, where's Sergeant McDowell? I don't know if you want to bring him up or have him wait, but, yeah. So when we asked the major to be here, he is obviously oversees a number of divisions, departments within the police department, but part of his responsibilities as SRO, school resource officers, and public safety in schools, the after effects of Marjorie Stoneman. This is obviously a big concern for all of us, so he's going to talk about, public safety in schools, equity lens, and anything else you want to talk about, frankly, and then hand it over to Sergeant McDowell. Thank you very much. Please help me welcome. We already did that. And if you haven't helped yourself to cake, please do. It's just want to point it out. It's over here.
How's everybody doing this evening? Everybody okay? All right, as she stated, I am Dr. Salters. I am a major in Fort Lauderdale Police Department. I've been there 26 years. And a little bit about me is that, we started looking at why do we do what we do. Right now in the community, you all are out here taking a leadership role, and why is it that you really do that? Because when you start finding out a person's why, you can find out how well they would do things. Because our problem is many times people don't know why they're doing something and they aren't really putting that passion into it. There's a video out there that says, know your why. I was going to show that, but I said, let me just move it through to our essence of time, because I've also found out that with the police department, many times we have officers that come in and have different passions. I can think about when I was 8 years old, I was out there mentoring individuals. And I think that many of you all, if you go back to your careers, back to what you were doing, you were always in a leadership role and wanted to make a difference and wanted to give back. If you're in public service and your passion isn't people, you're in the wrong business. And it's kind of like Cornel West says, if you don't love my people, you cannot serve my people. So we must love our community, get out there and do it. And one of the things I like talking about also is, I'm also John C. Maxwell certified. One of the lessons we do is everybody communicates but few connect, which is a good segue into what we're talking about today. You think about, you all have come to your homeowners meetings, you come to this meeting, do you really even know the people that are in this room? Do you even know why the person next to you is next to you? Do you even know those things? Because once you begin learning about them, then you can connect with them. Example today, I started talking with you, we're talking about it. Mary, yes, we just started talking today and started talking about what we do. Turns out we have a common friend from when she worked, that was more than 20 years ago.
Wow. Yeah.
That was it, more than 20, because I've known Sarah that long, so that was more than 20 years ago. So by talking to her and connecting with her, we begin to have that commonality. Then I started talking, about swimming, we started talking about things, we started talking about glasses, we begin to connect. So that gets us onto the networking and can really help move things forward. To your point, sir, when you ask about what can help education, the thing that helps education, as she was saying, is the connection and the engagement. Because you can read all of the studies, and the studies say the schools that have the largest parental engagement have the highest test scores. That is fact. But how do we define parents? Parents are not always biological. Sometimes they can be grandparents. And remember the African proverb, it takes a village to raise a child. And so right now in the city of Fort Lauderdale, what are we doing? We are developing our village, and we start giving back to the children. And if you ask, why should I do that? Because if you have educated children, your crime rate is going to be down, because they're going to be over there in school. Who are most of our burglaries committed by? Children. When do they drop out of school? When they feel as though they cannot succeed. From an ownership standpoint, if our schools are doing well, think about real estate. Any realtors in the room? You always talk about location, 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 and largely the prices of houses are driven by the grade of the school that is there. So if we can go over there and drive up the grade of the school, we drive up the prices of houses, which drives up the commission to our realtors. But you see, there is a connection there, and also with our taxes. We talk about millage rate. Your millage rate can stay the same if the value of the houses are going up. But we have to look at this and how we come together. So those are one of the things that I like to talk about. And right now, as you stated, I am in charge of our community engagement team. When you talk about our team that's going out there, we build partnerships with the Dolphins. Last year, we did a stop. I don't know whether you all saw that. We had our guys going out with Dolphins players, and we would pull people over randomly. If they had a Dolphins tag over, we would pull them on a police car. They were thinking they were going to get a ticket. They get out and it's a Dolphins player, and we give off the swag, we take the pictures, and we do that. So we're trying to connect that way with our public, and every time you see us, it's not always negative. So there are a lot of things that we do like that. Also, since I became the commander, when I'm looking at people that are on my team, I want people as passionate about giving back to the team and as passionate about as the kids as I am. Same thing is that when you're looking at it, when you're going over there, you're looking at someone's going to be in your motor unit, someone's working narcotics, you want people that are going to be passionate about that. So what I did is I said, I need to have my first line supervisor that's out there. So this is why I got Sergeant McDowell. Grew up in the neighborhood. He's done a lot in the neighborhood. I'll let you tell him a little bit about you, because this is the guy that is in charge of all of our school resource officers. In the city of Fort Lauderdale, we have school resource officers in middle school and high school. In the elementary school, we do not have school resource officers. We have the guardians over there with my community engagement team, and patrol is taking an active role of connecting with those schools. Sergeant McDowell, tell me a little bit about you and what you're doing now.
Good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone doing? All right. Good. So I'm Sergeant James McDowell, and I grew up in the city of Fort Lauderdale. I was born and raised. I attended a number of different schools in Broward County. To be exact, from kindergarten to 12th grade, I attended 12 schools. And through the instability, I became resilient. Raised by a single mom, I went off to college, worked for college in Waverly, Iowa. I got my bachelor's in social work, and I got my master's in criminal justice. Spent some time in California working in the inner city towards conflict resolution, towards gang members, and working in the Watts, San Bernardino, Compton. Came back down here, got hired by the police department. I've been here 12 years. I've been in this role since June of 15. June 15, 2019 of this year. One thing that I like is one thing that I like is, for me, when I got into this role, the number one thing for me was safety and engagement. And when you talk about safety, we all know what happened with Parkland, but I wanted to take a step further. I wanted to make sure that our kids knew that they were safe. In the schools, we have an app called Fortify Florida, which any of our kids have the ability to text, and if there's a threat or if something's going on, they're able to log onto that app and text. All those text messages come to me. I look at them, and when I get them, I inform my SROs. We have 9 of them. We also have the campaign that we're pushing, See Something, Say Something, as well as Safer Watch, where everyone's familiar with. So the safety component is the number one thing, but outside of that is also the engagement. And I always say to myself, I don't want to be a known stranger. I don't want the kids to see me as a known stranger. I want to be someone that we remove that stranger component. You see me in a uniform, but I go beyond the badge. And my SROs have programs in all of their schools, from a number of crime watch to different type of interventions. I have myself, I was an SRO at Dilla High School. And when I was at Dilla High School back in March of 17, I started a program called Youth Behind the Shield. We meet weekly, Thursdays, from 3 to 4:30, and it's a group of cops. Currently, we have about 50 students. And we've been meeting for the last 2.5 years. And we meet with the kids, we talk about a number of different things as far as being successful, making good decisions, and understanding, like you said, your why. So I just want you guys to know, when it comes to SROs, I'm challenging them. They've risen to the challenge of creating programs, going beyond and engaging with the students. Any questions?
Can I just have one other little quick thing, then I'll come right to your question. If you look at the safety in our schools, if you look at all of the tragedies that have happened in the school, the tragedies occurred because somebody was not engaged with the individual that committed the acts. So if we increase our engagement, it should decrease the number of individuals that are on the outside. When we look at it, my background is banking and finance and this type of stuff, so when it's talking about banking and partnerships and finances, we get in there, we do it. But once you engage the kids and you find out what they're interested in, that's when we begin to go. Then you engage parents, because I can tell you all, as parents, you think about it, if they come home and tell you that the police officer really has them thinking about something, got them dreaming big and going, aren't you going to be more engaged? We only have 24 hours in a day. We have to decide how we're going to elect to use that time. If we see it's going to be valuable there, we're going to do it. So from Fort Lauderdale Police Department, we're going to show you the value of engaging, how we engage. We're going to be working with the education. My doctorate is in education. So we're dealing with these kind of things, and you see what you got here. So just be contacting us, and we get out there and do whatever we have. I know we had a question in the back.
Instead of a question, Janae Gray Williams, I just wanted to commend you all on the awesome job that you all are doing. I had an experience with both of you while I was teaching throughout my 20 years of teaching elementary, middle, and high school. And I just wanted to say that it is so important, and forgive me if this sounds, it comes out the wrong way, but it is so important for our youth and our young adults, our children, to see excellence and to be able to see where you both have come from and to see where you are now. I am so grateful that the city of Fort Lauderdale have embraced you two in particular to be in the position that you are in, because I witnessed both of you doing programming at schools, taking money out of your own pockets and helping the children out. Rescue Heights, I mean, you name it. Also at Fort Anderson and Lauderdale Lakes Middle and William Dandy, all the schools that are in our area that I've been at. And I've seen both of you working the beat and making sure that the children, regardless whether they had tennis shoes on their feet or not, or they were being bullied, and you all went in your pocket. And I just want everybody to know that when you have a position like this, a lot of haters come out of the woodworks, and they hate on your position where you get promoted to, not knowing what you've gone through to get there. So I applaud where you are, and I know this is just the beginning of where you are going, and I'm so grateful to be a part of your journey, seeing where you are now. Thank you.
I agree, you rock, both of you. The question is, I understand Broward County is one of the counties where they have decided it's okay for school teachers to bring guns into school, but that they haven't decided where the guns will be stored, and it is elected. Really? Do you have any details about that, and does it affect our Fort Lauderdale schools? Do you have any knowledge about what we're doing in the city?
I do not believe, I'd have to double check to see if they have okayed for their students, their teachers to have it.
Okay.
Personally, I do not believe our educators should have firearms in the classroom.
Thank you.
I believe, and I've talked to a lot of educators, and it's a lot of educators that don't want them, but I want us to also think about it. When things are coming down from Tallahassee, they are making decisions for all of Florida.
Oh, God.
And when I've gone to some rural areas to where you are some small schools and you have these things out there, when I was up in St. Lucie and Port St. Lucie up there talking to those guys, some of them wanted them, but I say right now, if we have problems with teachers keeping their cell phones and kids not stealing their cell phones and not stealing their purses, I don't know how we would deal with it when a kid has it. And also talking from an education standpoint, my mom was in education, I think it would be very difficult for a teacher to have to stop a child that they have been teaching since kindergarten all the way up, and now that child is coming as a threat. I don't know if that teacher would really be able to shoot it. As professionals, we have a hard time pulling the trigger and deal with the aftermath after that, and we're trained professionals to do that. I don't know whether or not that's what most educators wish to do. Yes.
I just wanted to say that I'm a parent of 2 children in Broward County schools, and I'm like 99% certain that I got an email like a month or 2 ago from the school board saying that they had passed a resolution last year that there would not be,
Correct.
the only people carrying guns in our Broward County schools would be those trained.
Correct.
by-
Police
by-
officers and guardians. And that's all another.
First of all, I want to tell you that there are a few things I love more than hearing law enforcement who speak so eloquently and articulately. I love the things that you can reference to explain to me where you're coming from. So thank you for that. And I want to tell you that what I like about coming to these meetings is that I'm finally in a place where I can look around and most of the people that sit at the table with me are not apathetic. So my question for you is, what can we do as neighborhood leaders to make your jobs better for you? What resource can we provide you through our associations?
I would say just participate in the schools, come to the assemblies, the honor roll assemblies, any symposiums. Just make the kids know that, hey, it's not just the police, it's not just the same teachers that I see every day, but we have people in the community that care about us, and they're here. And hey, you can say, you know what, I don't have a student that goes here, but I'm at this honor roll assembly just to support you guys, and this is where I live, so I just want to say thank you.
Okay, and I have one more thing. We heard from Commissioner Josh Rydell of Coconut Creek about a month ago, and they told us about a program that he told us about a program that his police department is doing there called Do the Right Thing Coconut Creek, where it works on building relationships between law enforcement and youth there, communicating whenever a kid does the right thing, congratulating them on it, and that whole thing. Our group here, we unanimously supported that happening in our city. So I know that Commissioner Ben Sorensen is working on it, and I urge you to try to link up with Ben because it seems like it's right in line with what you're doing.
One of the things you'll find out is, sorry to tell you, when I was interviewing people for my team, I asked them, what are you doing to not be the best kept secret? Because so many times we're doing a lot of work, but we don't put it out there because this is what we do. So you just don't go out there and wave a flag every time you do something that you think is your job. Because their program in Coconut Creek, when you look at the size of it, Coconut Creek has how many schools? Maybe 3?
Right.
So it's easy for you to say something in 3 schools. And, in Fort Lauderdale, perhaps you realize that we have the most schools in the county right here in the city of Fort Lauderdale. So when they're talking about all these issues, you need to multiply it times 10 when it comes here. So when they're talking about some of the things, kind of like his Kids Behind the Shield and that 50 kids that he has over there, I got another DARE program that's running at Sunrise. We do the Youth Summit every summer at Stranahan Park. We end up at Stranahan, where we end up having probably, how many kids? About 400 or 500 kids that are over there at our Youth Summit. But we don't really tell everybody about it, so we tend to be our own worst enemy, best kept secret. So those are the things that we have to do, is work with the community so you know what we're doing and can get the word out there, and also increase what we're doing.
We want to know, and we'll help communicate.
Definitely.
And Ms. Brinkman was going to mention or talk about the official position of the school board with regard to school teachers and guns.
Yes, so while the legislature did change the law so that it would allow teachers to carry guns, the school board of Broward County voted and had a resolution put through. We are not arming teachers in Broward County, and that is our...
All right.
Yes, sir.
How long did you say you've been doing this outreach?
I've been with the Fort Lauderdale Police Department 26 years.
The outreach?
Outreach, I've been doing that all my life, man.
Me too.
Okay.
We all have our reasons. But if you look around the room, you don't see very many young people here. When I started, I was young. So when we're gone...
You're still young, honey.
When we're gone, who's going to replace it? So they say the problem in education and involvement in cities or kids' involvement. But there's so much apathy. How do you get somebody to stay involved?
The one thing you have to do is, just like with you all, how many times have you gone to a meeting and you go home and say, why did I even go to the meeting? They could have sent me the notes or whatever. So young people they're like, what's in it for me? And are you going along with what it is? My why is, if I can help somebody as I pass along the way, my living will not be in vain. So if I come to a meeting and I can't add anything to anybody, I'm not going to be at your meeting. So have you really found out what the millennials want? It's just like you say you're in real estate. If I come to you to buy me a house, to sell me a house, are you gonna find out what I want, or are you just gonna drive me around the neighborhood? So you use the same things you do to sell homes. I'm assuming you are successful.
Hopefully.
Okay. So if you are successful, the same talents and the strategies that you use to find me $1 million house, you use that to get me in $1 million meeting. So if the young folks aren't here, you haven't provided what they ought to be here. No, but quite honestly, watch what happens. Sergeant McDowell at his school is providing something, so they're coming after school at 3 o'clock to 4:30, 50 of them to be to his meeting. If you follow him on social media, on Instagram, you'll see the pictures of him and his kids. You'll see where they took money out of their pocket and he's exposing them to Disney World. Many of them have never been outside of Broward County. They go to different arts things. Why? Because he found out what they needed. You get them the way you need them, and then you can give them your message. Just like you want to give people at church, you give them some food. They'll come eat. And
It's not a question, it's a very presumptuous statement. So the chief is in a drop.
Yes.
I would like to say I'd like to see as the next chief of Fort Lauderdale. Thank you. I'm just hearing the consensus, Madam President, I'm just hearing the consensus of what's going on in this room. I just leaned over to the gracious lady right here, and I just mentioned that comment. I said, "What do you think, Betty?" She says, "Absolutely." And I'm saying, it's very serious, sir. Is that I truly think it would be refreshing. I think it would be a great jump start, bringing the city back into really bringing it into the 21st century.
I take that as a compliment. I appreciate it.
I second that motion. So, what do you all think of the speakers we've had tonight so far? Fantastic. All right, we're going to move along here. I am thrilled to announce our next speaker, with whom I work very closely on a community initiative that I'll hopefully get a few minutes to talk about, but if we're out of time, I won't. I'll skip it because we've gone a little bit late already. Quaisha Keene works at Broward College. She's got 12 years of experience in higher education enrollment, management, and financial aid. She is a financial aid guru. Any of you heard of FAFSA? The Federal Student Aid Application, Pell Grant funding? We're number 4 in the country in Pell eligible seniors. $21 million went unspent last year because seniors didn't complete the application. This lady is a massive guru. She's a consultant. What else did I want to say about this? Here's the thing. The workplace has changed. The landscape of kids getting jobs today is very different than when I went to school. And for those of you that are younger, perhaps it's still, the way it is today. Technical careers with credentials is what you need to succeed. And you can't wait till after high school to make those decisions. They need to be made while you're in high school. There's less room, there's less cushion for kids from low-income families to take a left turn after high school. And it's not 4-year degrees only anymore. There's a lot of options. It's important that kids start focusing on it, thinking about it, and planning for it while they're in high school. And the number one challenge to completing higher education? Money. Exactly. Please help me welcome Quaisha Keene, also going by Q. Come on up. And I just want to also announce a very special guest that accompanied Quaisha, her daughter Quinn. Do you just want to stand up and say hello? All right, that's great. All right, Quinn, thank you very much. I'll turn it over to Quaisha.
Hi, everyone. I'll try to be quick so we can get out right. So just thank you all for having me. I'm glad to be here and meeting Colleen this year. I'll start by my why. Why am I here? I was born in Trinidad, went to school K-12, got my bachelor's, my master's in the state of Virginia. In 2007 was my first financial aid job. Everything was electronic. And that's where I was introduced to the FAFSA, because I was on the back end and I received all the mistakes that students and parents were making. So for 3 years, I was correcting FAFSAs. And that is my first experience to gun violence. I was a Little League soccer coach, and one of the kids on my team, his dad was, I think there was some kind of fraud with money. He shot and killed his wife, then him, and left 4 kids. And this kid that was on my soccer team, his sister was a college freshman, and I received her FAFSA, and she was going through a professional judgment because she was going from being a dependent student with both parents, and now she's independent and has no idea what's going to happen. And I'm a resident of Coral Springs. My kids, I have 3, class of 2017. 1 that's 2020 and 2030. They've been through Broward County Public Schools. My oldest 2 daughters, when the Stoneman Douglas shooting happened, they were in school. 5 miles from that, all the funerals were held at her daycare. My neighbors are police officers from Lauderhill and Hollywood. My other police neighbor is retired CIA. So when you ask where are the young people, I'm not at those meetings. There's no HOA fees, but when they invite me to like NFL games, I don't see anything in common with me. And then in my neighborhood, it's her dad's birthday and he's calling, but so my bottom low in financial aid before I got to Broward College was working at Florida Barber Academy. And every student there had a criminal background. So we had starts every week. So there was no, oh, let's see if you qualify. No. They had to qualify. They had to go through the process. And for the 3 years that I worked there and was in charge of financial aid, we had no findings when there were federal audits, also from Veteran Affairs, because you sit with a student, you know them, and you walk them through it. And these are people serving like 15 years for rape or whatever it is, and then they're sitting in the classroom and you have to teach them financial aid. So the 3 years there working with those students, I figured out how to break the FAFSA. So now in Broward County Public Schools, which is I work with first time in college students, I haven't come across a FAFSA that I haven't been able to fix. So when they say, oh, you're the FAFSA guru, I've just been doing it since 2002. And I know that our families are blended. I had immigration issues when I was a high school senior. I had a parent that was undocumented and he was working under the table. And those are our families now. So when students are going to school and they have a brace advisor who is their college advisor, doesn't look like them, there's not really trust or understanding to complete the FAFSA or think about college. Because when they go home, there's no one in their family saying go to college or do better. So I am faced with that, and then also there are barriers in higher education. I should start this. So I've known this all along because I'm kind of one of those people in the field working with the students, but the words and the language that higher education and financial aid uses, it not only confuses students, but parents. I am at FAFSA nights probably 3 to 4 times every week for the entire year. And there's an issue. They just sit there and they're like, okay, what next? Because they don't understand it. So it's like a nationwide initiative now to change some of those systems in place that are barriers to students. Because Broward College may have great academic programs like Marine. I met a professor there. She's implementing boating safety, a scuba certification, just for students who don't want to commit to a 2 or 4 year degree. But it's getting through admissions and financial aid and the administration before you even get to academics. So that is what I am up against. And then also these barriers exist every day. So I can't come in there and say, go to college and be better, because my parents, one of them may be illegal. My parents may not have filed taxes. My uncle may have claimed me on the tax return. My parents may be in the Caribbean and I have been living with this person for the past 5 years. And I can't go to my counselor and tell them that. The same way I didn't go to my counselor and tell them, hey, what are my next steps for someone who cannot complete the FAFSA. So these are just common barriers. The first one, mistrust or misunderstanding. I'm trying to get through that. When they see me, I'm kind of like them. They're like, are you a student, a parent, all of the above, a secret shopper, because when I go into these institutions, they don't know who I am. They mostly treat me like a student. So what I try to do is prepare students and parents to avoid the financial aid office. So you may complete this form online, but in real life, when you get there, you don't know if that person's having a bad day. You don't know if they've been trained. You have no idea what you're walking into. So that's the toughest issue that I come across. Next, homeless, foster care, unaccompanied youth. So many in Broward County. There is a HEART liaison office, and we do have liaisons in all the high schools. Again, students don't know. And I have brace supervisors that come to me at the end of the school year and said, hey, this kid just came to me. It's May, and we've been starting the college application and financial aid process since August. But I don't know how we address that. Third, undocumented students, especially in the south part of Broward, complicated family situation, and then verification. Verification just means your FAFSA needs an alibi. And again, the confusion with the forms and the federal government is just a big mess. So this game was kind of my idea to make it fun, because at these FAFSA nights, parents and students are like this. And I have teenagers, I have a 21-year-old, I know how they communicate and what works. So I'm just going to show some sample questions.
She designed this Family Feud game around the FAFSA, and we're going to host it at the Museum of Discovery and Science on Saturday. We're going to have parents against students. It's so exciting. It's a way to make it fun.
Yeah, so these are just some of the questions.
We're going to fix this before Saturday, clearly.
Right.
Okay.
So I've played this maybe at a few high schools. Take Stock in Children, they have a financial aid workshop. The parents get involved, the teachers get involved, the students are very competitive. And at the end of my workshop, they know all the answers. They're confident to complete the FAFSA. And I'm excited. It's a lot of laughs if you see it in person. But that's just me. FAFSA financial aid. Questions? Sorry. It's okay.
Can we play?
Sure.
I think I know the
It's 7:58.
So you wanted to, that was it? There was okay.
Another question.
Okay, now.
What's the question?
Oh, this is the fast money round. Click on, okay.
All right.
So, all right.
So this is going to be played at Mods on Saturday. If you want to come, we have 1,400 people signed up already.
So how many Florida State colleges?
Oh, I have no idea.
Ooh.
11 colleges.
17.
28. Wow. What month is the FAFSA deadline?
March.
June.
Shoot.
What is the, well, Bright Futures, the Florida financial aid deadline?
No idea.
August 31st.
I was going to say September.
How many credits does a full-time student take?
21.
12. Wow. HBCU is the acronym for what type of institution?
Historical Black College. And FAMU.
What is the Divine Nine?
The sororities and fraternities.
Yes.
The black ones.
How often does FAFSA need to be completed?
Every year.
Yep. How many total members are in U.S. Congress?
Too many.
None.
What you got, is it House and Senate?
Combined.
Yeah, combined. Oh, 500 and 600 and something.
535.
All right.
CSS profile is required by what type of institution?
What's a CSS profile?
It's like FAFSA's little sister, but FAFSA is the federal government and CSS only institutions, private, like UM, and there's a few others.
Resume?
No, financial aid application. So when students complete this, for example, if they're going to UM and they do the CSS profile, if FAFSA EFC 0 gives them like the maximum probably $6 grand, the same CSS profile, if they have a 0 EFC, they can get maybe like 40 grand. So it's more money at the schools than the federal government gives them. in some cases.
Wow.
And then what qualifies for Bright Future Scholarship?
Your average and your.
So this money is funded by the Florida Lottery. There are 3 tiers, but it depends on GPA, service hours, test scores like SAT, ACT, and then their core credits. So like their math, their sciences, social studies. I know. So, yeah. It tests them and they learn and they get it.
That's good.
And it prepares them.
So the important thing here is that kids without 2 parents in the home, without any adult that understands any of this, it doesn't have a lot of choice. There are 522 kids per college advisor in high schools today. So they don't have access to this kind of information, and those are the kids that need it the most. So experts like Quaisha and folks like her, and who can make it engaging and fun, FAFSA, gotta get me some. I mean, she does it better than anybody. We're blessed to have her in our community. Thank you very much. Luis, did you have a question?
The question that I have is this money is a grant type, not a loan?
It's a federal, yeah.
Is it a loan, do they have to return it? No.
Okay, so there are 3 great questions. So from the FAFSA, there are 3 types of programs that students are on to. Pell Grant is free, work study is free, but loans it's earned, borrowed, so they have to pay back. So all of that depends on a 2.0 GPA. The entire time they're in college. If they fall below, they're placed on like an academic probation. And if they don't bring that GPA up to 2.0, then you find them dropping out because they have to pay out of pocket to bring their grades up. And then they think, oh, I'll just go to another school. You can't, because it's a federal application and we see everything.
Oh dear, wow.
So if they go on this question, if they fall, because I want to speak to you after this. If they fall and get in that probation period, they still can get back and stay in school, correct?
Yes.
Do they have to pay out of pocket or no?
No. So let's say fall
I
right now.
want to talk to you after.
Okay, so let's say fall, my GPA falls below 2.0.
Right.
Spring, I still get financial aid. If I don't bring it up by spring, summer, or fall, I need to pay out of pocket. So you get like a grace period.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, last question. Yeah, we gotta move on. Do you mind, can we? She'll stay out.
Isn't there a way you can have all of this, what you're doing online, so if someone who...
Yes, I'm paperless, yes. It's so much information online,
Access to you.
YouTube.
No, but in the format that you're putting it in.
The game?
To the audience. No, in general. You know how to play the system, basically. So, I know how to play the system if you want to get to school, and they can go there and learn how to, because like you said, if they go in somewhere and they're either going to be put to the side, they're not paid attention to, or they don't have time for them.
There's a lot of communication, a lot of effort, all of it's online, but it's a little bit like walking to the library with the books on the floor. It's not as targeted and focused, and it's got to be delivered in person, a lot of the stuff. I mean, it is out there, it's easy to understand, but you got to know where to look. So with that, I'm gonna talk about Bridge to Life.
Can we move it to next week? The next meeting, you're gonna be here?
Yeah, I'm happy to move it. If that's, would everybody prefer we talk about this at the next time? Thanks a lot, I'm not at all offended.
You're the only speaker we know is gonna be next.
Okay, so we have a number of people here that were here for the education, who spoke, were education speakers. And, out of respect for your time, you are welcome to depart at this point if you would like. So please also just, let's thank the major Thank you all very much. All right, moving on. President's report. Exciting things. I just want to mention next month, we've already got confirmation that the executive director from Bonnet House will be presenting. So some of you are familiar with the concerns with the Florida Trust and the Bonnet House being taken over. So he will be coming. Luis, thank you. And then a very exciting transition for us when it comes to food. We had a meeting with Dr. Gassman briefly, and we have gone 100% green. And I want to mention Debbie's contribution to this. Do you want to talk about it a bit?
Well, I did some research, and basically everything besides what came in Publix trays is compostable. we're talking the cutlery, we're talking the napkins, that, yeah, that's compostable.
What is this made out of? What did I just eat my food with?
Corn. As far as drinks are concerned, that's an easy fix. I got the containers with the spigots, and then, you get some water and you make some iced tea and make some lemon.
Pretty remarkable. So utensils, plates,
Napkins.
cups, all of it. Napkins.
Tablecloths.
Yes, the cups.
That's what the cups are.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, they're
You can see it on the bottom.
Isn't that cool? Very much.
Yeah, they all go in the recycle. They all go in the recycle bin, right?
No. All right. Okay. So, thanks. We're going to move on. We don't have a membership report update. Bylaws Committee. Christina, do you want to just remind?
I just want to remind everybody that those proposed bylaws amendments have been posted online since I let you guys know passed, and they're going to be on the agenda for vote at the November meeting. So if in advance of that, you can please review those and provide me with any feedback. It'll help get us through that vote, and it won't hijack the whole meeting when we start tearing it apart. So please email me. They're all online.
You're also talking about the next two items. District updates.
At the last meeting, I passed this around, and I got district feedback from everybody. What I've done with that is I took it and I put it into spreadsheets. I gave it to each of your district reps. Does everybody know who their district rep is? Okay, so each district in the city has a representative. I shared the information with them so that they could help to problem solve, and all of us are willing to put our resources together to get through that.
So explain what you mean by district updates, so that's clear.
Okay, so at every board meeting, the district rep reports to all of us at the board and tells us, here's what's going on in my district, maybe these people need sidewalks, and then we share information about how we're fixing and getting solutions in other districts to help use all of our brain power. There was one thing that I noticed that was on the feedback that I already got an answer for. I gave this to Kathy, and I think she already sent it to the two neighborhoods. It was Rock Island and River Garden Sweeting Estate. There was an interest that came up a couple times regarding adding more sun trolley stops. So what I did was, on this website, on our council website, you can see this thing here. Do you need more sun trolley or public transportation? It tells you who you need to contact for a meeting. So what you do is you email this lady, tell her to come to your civic association meeting, and make her listen to what it is that you want, what you need, make sure you're specific, and you tell her where she needs it. When they give you the response and they tell you there's not money for it, keep hammering them, because this is the process to get it done. They do know there's a surtax issue, blah, 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 but this is how we can start getting that moving for that request that you guys made. I'm going to keep going. There was one more thing that was on here. So in the old business, we have the TAM MPO interlocal agreement feedback. Also on this website, what you'll find is some board action that we took on the 24th. What we did is the board compiled a statement, and that statement contained suggestions for responsibilities that we think the city transportation and mobility staff should continue to have in-house if the interlocal agreement is proposed at some point in time. So you can find that online. I'm not going to go and find it on the website now, but it's right on the homepage, and I will tell you that my neighborhood, Rio Vista Civic Association, we have adopted that same statement and transmitted it to the commission, and I know some other neighborhoods are doing it as well. So you're welcome to copy the information for your own associations. The next thing that was on the agenda was the Do the Right Thing. I got with Commissioner Sorensen. He was very excited about it. He agreed to take the lead on it, and he's going to work with staff and Fort Lauderdale Police Department to try to get our request moving. And then Colleen has one last thing to cover.
Marilyn's going to cover the comp plan feedback.
Okay, well, we've been working on putting together some comments so that we can present them to the Planning and Zoning Board at their formal public hearing on the comprehensive plan, which is October 30th, not the 16th, that was wrong. Oh, yeah. And they've held 3 workshops. I don't know, I'll find out. They've held three workshops, which were actually very well attended, and they've gotten a lot of feedback. We have been putting together our comments based upon our committee meetings. We're not there yet. We're very close. We're sort of refining those comments. And we will put them up on the web as soon as the board approves them at the next board meeting, so that everybody can take a look at them and comment on them as well. We hope to have them ready for the October 30th P&Z meeting. You also get a second bite of this apple when the plan goes to the commission, to the city commission. So there is a couple of months now between now and when the commission actually takes an action on the comp plan, that you can look at the feedback that we're going to provide based on our committee meetings. Anything else that you might want us to include, if you want to contact me directly, I'll put my contact underneath the information about the comp plan up on the board, up on the web. And in general, do I have enough time to just say something in general, or?
Just go ahead.
Okay. In general, the proposed comprehensive plan is very much like the 2008 comprehensive plan. I mean, it's a comprehensive plan. And I'm a planner, I love comprehensive plans, I eat them for breakfast, but this one is toast and eggs, which is not bad. I mean, it's a responsibility, it has to be done. And they did a credible job. The problem is, I know, but the problem is that there's nothing inspiring or innovative or anything exciting about the plan. It accomplishes the regulatory requirement of taking our 2035 vision plan. You remember our vision plan? Everybody worked on that? That is our plan. And it takes that plan and implements it. So if you liked what happened in the last 10 years, since 2013, you're going to love the next 10 years, because it's pretty much more of the same. Yes, there are some shavings here. Yes, we're talking more about climate change than we talked about in 2008, which is obviously a good thing. Yes, we're a little more sensitive to the tree canopy. Thank you, everybody in Riverside, for making everybody really sensitive to tree canopy at a particular moment. It was a perfect time to bring that issue up. But essentially, it's the same old, and in a way, you can't expect a hell of a lot more from the comprehensive plan itself, because that document only implements the city's vision. It was really the visioning process that set us down the road to where we were going to be in the next 10, 20 years. So if we wanted to change what we've seen in the last 10 years, if we have problems, or if we want to pause and reconsider what we've done in the past 10 years, the comprehensive plan is probably not the place to do it, because it's not that kind of a document. Nevertheless, it's important that we are aware of what's going on, and there will be a lot more discussion in the next couple of months as it actually goes through the Planning and Zoning Board and the City Commission. A lot of issues will be raised, issues of infrastructure, issues, quality of life. They're important, and we will have an opportunity to comment on them. But the process and the document itself is pretty much a pro forma exercise, a requirement of the state, and something that, we need to do it because it's a requirement, and we need to get it done. That's the important thing, it needs to be done. All the big issues about what do we want to be when we grow up are not going to be dealt with in the comprehensive plan. Those are visionary issues. Okay? So that gives you a little bit of the bigger picture. That's all we have time for right now, is the sort of bigger picture.
And we're going to go a little harder than that in the summary memo to P&Z. Ultimately, it's fine that it's a completed comp plan, but that's the only check mark in the box. There is nothing that answers the vital questions about how we become a better city. There are no innovative approaches or strategies. And if we are going to be the city that works together and invests together in something that is moving forward, we needed to have a plan that was just not simply a continuation of the programs that we already had. So that is one concern. The secondary concern, and this is frankly a cost to the city issue. We spent money on a consultant to make up this plan. And then they did the right thing by going and shopping it and engaging with dozens of community groups. We all have spent hours and hours, city staff has been taken up. And it would have been wonderful to have a plan that was meaningful, that was inspiring, that talked about a better city and a vision for that better city. So I would argue that the true cost to the city of this plan is well beyond what we spent on consulting fees. So we're going to lay out this kind of summary, and not that much that we can do about it, because as Marilyn says, it's an opportunity missed, but a regulatory obligation that has been met. So I think it is important that we put this on record. There will be specific observations, element by element, but we hope that we have an opportunity to participate in the next comp plan planning so that we don't do a repeat of this the next go-round. Okay, and then lastly, I think the last item on the agenda is don't forget Day of the Dead. November 2nd, it's an exciting, wonderful parade, and you have all the information. I think we've shot it out to you by email a couple times. You all remember Jim Hammond. What does he go by? Not Richard Branson. Who did he say he was confused with? Sammy Hagar, right? So yeah, let's go support him. It's a wonderful event. With that, I think we're done. We'll see you next month. The meeting is adjourned. Take care. Oh, I remember. You're so nice. Writing, you're tough. Verbally, you're very